Hi, my lovely friends. Welcome to the Power Show. This topic of empowerment, it's something that now I'm truly riding the wave of. And that's why I feel it's so important to bring it forward with these little motivational videos, but also share a bit more about my journey so you guys can have, the ones that are new here, can see where I'm coming from. I started out when I was born, of course, and I was brought to a really dysfunctional family, also a lot of emotional and financial stresses, a lot of projection, not taking responsibility, and just trying to survive through life without almost none at all physical presence of others and loved ones. So I had to take care of myself and be my own best friend and figure out why we came to this world. And there is so much projection, so much blame, so much suffering. I was in a really, really dark place. I had suicidal thoughts so many times that every time I'm like, I'm just gonna throw myself out the window. Like, okay, I can do this. And then I found David R. Hawkins, which he's my favorite teacher. I think I'm skipping back and forth because this is so far off from what I remember because it's been so long since I started my healing journey, probably like 10 years ago now. 7 to 10 years. Anyways, I have a video about that. But I feel like as I keep evolving, as you keep evolving, we switch so many timelines and parallel realities that we start forgetting, like, when this happened? But now that it's completely integrated and I feel no pain, I'm like, how can I talk about this for you guys to relate to the hero's journey? So that's the point of all of it, not just the beautiful fruits of our work and where we are when we heal, but how did we get there and how we went through the struggle, just like Lord of the Rings. If you haven't watched that, of course you have watched that movie. It was me. Can you believe the first time I watched that movie was this year because I had to see my whole life journey. Okay, but let's go back in time. So I was in a really bad place. I was kind of surviving financially because my dad sent me money and my mom was trying to figure it out. But I had no presence. Like everybody was in their own worlds with their own lovers and their own completely dysfunction. And I was just like, okay, I'm here. I have enough to eat and hang out, but I'm depressed. I'm lonely. I feel I have abandonment, rejection. Nobody wants me. I'm like, I feel like I'm pretty. Why does anybody wants to be around me? Why does my family doesn't love me? Like all those thoughts and the core like beliefs that I adopted at childhood. It was more like walking around lifeless and depressed, and that's why I got so into healing and spirituality and my first spiritual awakening. And I mentioned Hawkins because he says that if you're still resented about the circumstances of your birth, then you don't get the point because you came here and you were put in the exact perfect family household for you to grow spiritually. So it's like we choose our parents, we choose our circumstances because they are going to be the mirrors of all the unconscious guilt, patterns, shame, and beliefs that we have adopted from previous lifetimes. May it be that we were the ones that abused someone, we were the ones that did something that wasn't in integrity, so now we have to pay that karmic debt by reliving the situation. So that just took me out of blame and projection, but I still had all that emotional locked within me. So I was like, how do I heal this shit? And I started researching and about dysfunctionality and codependency and projection and addiction. And even while learning all these things, I was still trying to cope with my reality. So I went and drank a lot. I always had a boyfriend to escape through sex, through cuddling, through drinking, through smoking weed. I never went into hard drugs. I tried like MDMA and that's it. I'm so glad I never tried cocaine because I love coffee and I'm pretty sure I would have been hooked and I wouldn't be here or that would have been a different movie. So I went through that journey and for like, no, I was doing all of that and going to parties and hanging out and learning about how to heal myself, but while not embodying it. That was probably when I was like 17. I'm 26 now. And yeah, and then I had a super karmic breakup when I was 18 and I thought it was the end of the world. It was like a main source of escapism and that took me to a rock bottom. It was a year, I don't remember what happened that whole year because I think I was high the whole year. And then I went into a 12-step group and I got sober, and I got what I wanted was presence. I'm like, what I need is a community. I need people around me that have been through the same struggles and that can hold space for me to just let my shit out, which is what I do for my clients. Like, I hold space and they can let their distortions, their traumas, how they felt about their mom, that situation, and we can look at the root of what needs to be healed and recontextualized, because at the end, these are all your protections, but your traumatic experience is valid. I also went through emotional abuse, sexual abuse a couple of times, and I had to do a lot of work to be able to talk about it like this. What else is relevant? So I healed, and I was in this group for probably 3 years. I was never really, it was like AA, but I was never really an alcoholic. I was just an addict, like my ego, addicted to my ego. Anything that take me out of the present moment, so I didn't have to deal with the panic attacks and the stress and the loneliness and all of that stuff. So I got better, and I was able to rewire my subconscious mind to do a lot of journaling, a lot of affirmation. But the thing is, with all of this journaling and affirmations and inner work, if you don't embody the frequency and you come from a place of, I really need to heal, so you try to do all these tools and practices, it won't work. You have to come from a place of the absolute. So then I got all the way into enlightenment. Like, you need to realize that you're not the body, you're not the thoughts, you're not what happened to you. That's why Hawkins was such an important key in my journey, because doing all this shadow work, it's really cool. But if you know that you are the absolute space, stillness, foreverness that exists, then it doesn't matter all the work that you do, because you can always go to that background. But I find that the sweet spot is working with both, knowing how to do self-inquiry and go deep into emotional shadow work, but also how to go into the absoluteness of things and know that you are everyone and you're nothing. And that was also tricky, because when I found that absoluteness, I also got addicted to it, and I was always out of body because I didn't want it to feel pain. I was always blissing out, full body orgasms. I was a whole year in ecstasy. That was pretty intense. I thought I was enlightened. I'm like, that's it, I'm done. And it's beautiful to have that awareness. But now, if you learn that you are the absoluteness and that never happened to you, yes, the consciousness that you were in the moment that you were raped or emotionally abused or neglected or went through trauma, yes, you were there, you had that experience. But you are not that consciousness now. Whatever you have about that memory, it's the memory. It's your recollection of the emotional patterns that were stuck in your nervous system when you were there. But if you don't heal and release those patterns in your nervous system, the memory is going to keep coming up, and you're going to start believing that you're having the same experience over and over. And that's what I call the split. It's like you can be here having a normal conversation with your current partner or your current coworker or client if you have a business, and then you get triggered by something and your whole nervous system thinks that exactly when you were abused, when you were 10, or when you were raped, when you were 18, that's a situation that's happening. And then you get contracted, and then you react, and then downward spiral, and you keep projecting those hellish realities. And what we're here to do, and you're so courageous to come back to earth, and that's also something I learned from Hawkins. He's like, if you're born human, you should already feel like you're such a gift and you should be proud of yourself, because this realm here is such a purgatory. You come here to release all that bullshit and to go and deal with all your karma. Holy fuck. Just laughing because mine was so intense. So now that you know that, feel proud that you came here and that all your suffering is worth it, but not for you to stay there, but to look deep within what is in your nervous system that's still sabotaging you. So I think this went all over the place, from personal story to how to heal this, but how this ties up to the topic of power. And we can dive deep into more of the story if you want, and we have a session and you can ask me any questions about it. But power, because you are all power. Even when you were going through abuse, through neglect, through rape, through being shot, whoever, if that ever happened to you, you were all powerful. You were the God conscious awareness that shows that experience for you to heal and deal with your unconscious guilt and pay for the karma and deal with the shame, and for you to realize that you are the awareness that is witnessing that experience. And then to integrate that part of yourself that felt separated, that felt small, that felt neglected, that was taking out their life force out without their will and their consent. So you are the awareness that was witnessing the whole experience, and how to juggle between being that awareness and then whenever you get contracted or triggered, to use the proper tools of inquiry to look deep within to see which part of you needs to be integrated. I have a drawing about this because I see it as a wheel. If you go to Disneyland or to any park and there are these wheels that have like little seats and they just go around, it's like you have all these aspects of yourself that went through really impactful experiences in life. Some experiences are like, wow, this is the most joy I've ever felt. Those are also peak experiences. But there are peak experiences that are kind of traumatic and painful. And they're all stored there. But you are the wholeness in the middle of the wheel. It's like a wheel. And whenever these parts get triggered, we must acknowledge them, love them, recontextualize the situation, make them understand that they're safe, that nothing's happening right now, and bring them into the whole of us so we can integrate all of this into the allness of what we are. And hopefully that made sense, my friends, because I get it, but I'm like, how can I transmit this to you? Anyways, that's just 11 minutes. Yeah, that's more of like an intro. Let me know in the comments if you have gone through any of these experiences. What have you done to try to heal yourself? Do you still experience hellish realities? Are you still projecting situations from your past and sabotaging yourself? Or are you ready to break the loop and live the life that you want to live, of freedom, excitement, joy? That's how it's supposed to be, and that's how it is for me now. Just live in my highest excitement moment to moment, and the field arranges itself to give me everything that I need, the fullness of abundance for whatever it is that I want to create and be and share. And that can be also your experience. So that's the power video of today, just going back into the hellish realities to find empowerment and to really embody this hero's journey. I love you so much. Thank you for your courage. And if you feel called to connect to me, with me, same thing, you can do so through my website. There is a link in the bio or a link in the comments if you're watching this in YouTube. Sending you so much love.